In this tutorial, we're going to be making a cool art-like, sort of a Ted Harrison style piece of art. It's a tutorial that I found from trainstation.cc, and it's definitely a beginner introduction and lots of fun, but you can make some very cool card-like things, which I'll show you near the end. Right, so we're going to be launching Adobe Illustrator CS3, and I always choose print document just because I like to have the option of making a t-shirt or stickers or something like that. You can choose what format you want, if you want it to be in inches so you can see a regular piece of paper or whatever you need. And the first thing is to choose the ellipse tool, holding my left mouse button down and choosing the ellipse tool. Maybe I'll make it like that, however you want. And I'll take the pencil tool and I'll draw a bunch of lines that go across and through like that, maybe like this, however you want. Yeah, that looks good. Maybe I'll make one more that goes something like that. I don't know. And we'll need the moon. There was a moon in that card. We'll draw a little circle here. Hold the shift key down. That'll lock it into a perfect circle if you want. And I'll Control C on the keyboard, Control V, copy it. Whoops. Try to click the actual circle and have them overlap somewhat. And there we go. Now I've drawn all these random little lines and they're all separate objects on the page. If I use the selection tool, the black arrow, I can select all of them, and right here is the live paint bucket. This live paint bucket will convert all these separate things into one sort of living object. So I'll choose the live paint bucket, bring it over here. You can see everything going kind of red. There's a red hue around everything. And I'll click. And it gives me this little warning. I don't need to worry about that. Okay, now every region that's enclosed, kind of like the old style paint, if you've ever used that, is fillable. And I recommend using the swatches for choosing what you're going to fill with here. So on the swatches, I'm going to choose, I don't know, this green there, and I can fill. Now the reason I like the swatches is if you look right above the paint bucket, it shows the swatch that's to the left and the swatch that's to the right. So I can use my mouse arrow, I push to the right, and now I can choose the darker swatch. Or I can push to the left and I can choose the lighter swatch as I'm painting here. Go to the right a little bit, left, right, right, and I can use, there, I got lost there, and you can look over to the right hand side. You can see it moving through the swatches as I run my mouse left to right, or the keyboard left to right. Okay, maybe I'll choose this blue for the sky. I can click, and that saves me from, you can also just go back and forth, click back and forth, whatever you want. Okay, let's just go through now. I'll go back to these greens. Maybe I'll have a couple more blues in here. Maybe I'll have a yellow. Anyways, I can kind of fill these in. Now, let me just zoom in a bit for you. You may want to be painting these strokes or maybe not. If you want to be able to paint the strokes a certain color, if you double click the live paint bucket, it brings up the live paint bucket options, and you can have paint strokes selected. If that is selected, when you bring your mouse right over a stroke, you can see it turns into a stroke. I don't actually want that on. I like the black, so I'm going to uncheck that so I don't accidentally click a stroke. Okay, a couple more to go here. Maybe I'll have some red in there. There. Now I'm just sort of filling this in quickly just to kind of give you an effect. Over on the tutorial you can see they do a little bit better job of choosing some tones and creating a bit of an effect, and looks a little more balanced. It goes from light all the way up to dark. I've just randomly clicked around just to sort of a stained glass mosaic. Now I've got all these little danglies sticking out the edge here. Right beside the live paint bucket is the live paint selection tool. If I click that, it'll just click along the stroke until it hits an intersection. So if I click that, it selects it, and I can press delete on the keyboard and it's gone. And if I want, I can even grab a couple of them, but I don't want to grab the part. I can hold down the shift key as I click, and click lots of them. Okay, whichever way you want, you can do some selections. Likewise, I can click up in here, delete the moon. Oh, I need to paint this still. Let me just paint this. Do I want to paint it a white? Maybe like an off-white. Well, this one maybe I'll choose sort of a yellowy color. There. And selection. There we go. There's my moon. Anyways, so this is the live paint. I can see I've missed something right in here. That must have been before I turned that stroke off. So I'll double click, turn paint strokes on, and choose a black, and there I've got it. Control 0 will allow me to see the whole thing. There's my fancy Ted Harrison art. I played with a little bit more with this, and I created a snowman. You could use this idea to make lots of different cards. One thing I should comment on is if you decided that you wanted to add another line in here, you can do that. If I take the pencil tool and decided to put another line in right there, you'll see it doesn't automatically join the live paint group. There's two ways I can handle that. One, I can select the live paint group, select this new line, and then re-click the live paint. It will do that. Or, take a look at the layers here. If I expand these layers out, I can see that I have a live paint group that has all those paths I've drawn and the one path that I just added. I can take it and drag it down into the live paint layers, and now it'll be in there. Da 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 da. It worked. Okay. And then I can click that and delete it off, whichever you prefer. I like my snowman.